Todd, just first of all, what on earth are you wearing?
Well, it's not a signed jersey, but it is signed by Mr. Ralph Lauren, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on one of these. I almost feel embarrassed wearing it. These are the Team USA opening ceremony jackets that they wore, and Ralph Lauren always sponsors and outfits the athletes, and what a great event it was. I think that entry, you guys, I know where you were during this, but watching them not in a stadium but come down the Seine was so impressive. It was rainy. The weather didn't really cooperate, but it was at night. But what a grand spectacle. I mean, we can get into all the other things that were going on along that river on the banks and some of the other things that were taking place. But that was a grand spectacle. What a way to start off the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I got to say, Todd, I don't recognize that jacket dry and without a poncho over the top of it, because
Exactly.
That's how everyone was on the boat. Yeah, I went a little bit overboard. Sorry, I got the Paris T-shirt. I've got. I think we were talking before we started, Natalie. Our accreditations
Yes.
with the different country
Indeed.
pins on them, and then I've even gone right to the mug. Look at that. Is that?
Oh, you did.
Before
They saw
coffee,
you coming in the merchandise
after
store, didn't they?
Oh, they were rubbing their hands with glee when I came through the door. Yeah.
But do you know what? That opening ceremony, very different. Obviously, the first time it wasn't held within a stadium. For the uniqueness of it, you just had to watch it from the start until the finish because you had no idea what was going to happen. Obviously, the Lady Gaga appears, Celine Dion appears as well. It was wonderful. It was a really, really clever way of staging an opening ceremony, I thought.
I felt so bad. I don't know about you two, but I arrived in Paris about a week or so before to film all these kind of feature episodes and build up. And it was bright and sunny and hot every single day until the opening ceremony day itself. And of course, the very first time it's held outside a stadium, it absolutely pours. And within 5 minutes, everyone's saying, should have held it in the stadium. This is why I've always done it in a stadium.
Well, and you had all kinds of celebrities that turned up for it. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Paris for the summer and rub shoulders with the world's greatest athletes? For my host network, NBC, they brought out the big gun, Snoop Dogg, and he became almost a mascot for NBC. He was everywhere. I was covering skateboarding, and he showed up at skateboarding. And I remember there was a shot of him and Tony Hawk, and I just thought, bird, dog.
Well, I was just going to say, with Snoop Dogg, I mean, he brought that celebrity status.
Yeah.
Not that it needs it, because it's the Olympics. It's already incredible. These are the greatest athletes on earth competing. But I remember being at the Stade de France, and he turned up one night, and it was as though everyone just kind of forgot what was going on the track because he was there. It was Snoop Dogg. So I kind of hope to see that. Well, I'm no doubt he'll be involved in the LA games, but surely he's going to be flag bearer. Surely.
It's his backyard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think he took most of the NBC budget, didn't he, for that games, Todd? Was there any left for you?
I was doing it out of the kindness of my heart. I don't know what happened to the rest of the money, but yeah, he was paid handsomely, and but he's such a. It wasn't even. He was such a big part of the broadcast, but it really showed that he loved it. I mean, it was genuine. It wasn't artificial. He just loved being with the athletes. He became friends with so many of them, and so for him to show up at a venue, I know in our production meetings, it was always discussed. Okay, who are we going to focus on? Storylines, yada yada yada. And Snoop Dogg will be there. So that was always part of it. If he's going to show up at your venue, obviously you have to get some cutaways of him because all the athletes wanted to get their picture with him. I mean, obviously you want to win a gold medal, but if you win a gold medal and you get a picture with Snoop Dogg, trifecta.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with him in LA in 4 years' time. But yeah, that opening ceremony, absolutely incredible. So much going on. I think it was about 4 hours. There were silver horses, can dancers, heavy metal, parkour, fire coming out of left, right, and center. Celine Dion atop the Eiffel Tower. I do love the fact that it was so intrinsically French, wasn't it? It was, without meaning to, anger any French listeners, it was rather self-indulgent, rather overinflated, went on for a little bit too long. And it really just set things up. And I think the other great thing about it being outside the stadium was this whole idea of they would be bringing the Olympics to France. They'll be bringing it outside of the stadiums, bringing it to the people. And that started in the opening ceremony and then carried through right throughout the games. And I think one of my residing memories of the games and why it was so successful is just the way that they really incorporated the venues into the city, whether it was beach volleyball at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, which could have done with a little bit more shade, I must add, because that's where I got particularly sunburned. 3x3 basketball, skateboarding, breaking, that was all done at the famous La Place de la Concorde, one of the most famous public squares in Paris. That's where all the cool sports were held. Yeah. And then you got fencing at the historic Le Grand Palais, built all the way back in 1900 for the Universal Exhibition. Here it is in 2024, hosting fencing at the Olympic Games. it was impossible to escape the Olympics in Paris. Everywhere you went, it was right there. And I absolutely loved that.
Do you guys think that they've set a bar too high? I mean, now obviously Los Angeles will be the next Summer Games after the Winter Games in Italy. But I mean, who better to follow Paris than Los Angeles and Hollywood? But I feel like every year, every Winter, Summer Games, they take the bar to the next level. And I think France really did a fantastic job. Paris did a fantastic job. Every venue embraced it. As Edward said, it was such a French production, and they did a fantastic job. I mean, despite the opening ceremony in the rain, which I think actually lent itself to it with the lighting and all that stuff, I thought it was so cool to see a LeBron James in a poncho carrying the American flag, and all these great superstars with their national athletes with them on those boats. I thought that was a magnificent gesture. But I just wonder, Natalie, have they raised the bar too high? And obviously, who better to follow Paris than Hollywood?
Well, this is what I was about to say, because don't we have to go back to, it's all your fault. Don't we have to go back to LA 1984 when you had all the glitz and glamour then? So I think ever since 84, everyone's wanted to outdo each other. So yeah, I think, well, I'm really intrigued, obviously, what's going to happen in LA next time around and see how much better you can make it. But at one point, we're going to get to a point where it's like, there's no more we can do. This is it. This is the level.
Two words. Tom Cruise. That's all I got to say.
We were waiting for him, weren't we, in the closing ceremony? Yeah. I'm interested to see, Todd, how are they going to make this LA Games carless? Because from what I've heard, public transport in LA, absolutely terrible.
It's terrible. People don't do it. I am a native of Los Angeles, and I can tell you right away, people love their cars. It's just the easiest way to get around. And I think we've had a couple instances where freeways have been shut down, and it's traffic-mageddon. It is just... But they get around it. They figure it out. And I think they will figure it out in the next 4 years, how to get public transportation, get people to embrace public transportation, because that will really be the best way to get around. Obviously, people are going to still go about their lives working and things like that. But I think for those 15 to 17 days with the world's greatest athletes come to the Southland, I think it'll be very interesting. Weather and transportation will be big stories, but I don't have any doubt that they're going to put on an amazing show. I mean, obviously it's Hollywood and they're going to put on an amazing show, but I think it'll be interesting to get that many people in that type of space around for 2.5 weeks time.
Can we talk about sporting highlights?
Yes, but let me just let our listeners, our viewers know exactly what happened in terms of the medal table, because, you know, as much as it is about individuals, it is also about a team event. And in terms of the ones leading the way, yes, it was the United States. Todd, congratulations. 40 gold medals, but 126 medals in total put you top of the list, alongside China with 40 gold medals, but then they had 91 medals in total. Japan came third, Australia fourth, and France, the host nations, came away with 16 gold medals and 64 in total as well. But yes, let's talk about those highlights, shall we? Because there's plenty for us all, and hopefully they're quite varied as well. Go on, Ed. You tell us what yours was.
Yeah, I'll get to Southeast Asia in a bit, because they had a record-equaling Olympic Games. But I think for me, a couple of sporting highlights. One of them was, of course, to see Simone Biles back. We weren't sure whether we would ever see her again after Tokyo and those twisties. And she'd been seeing a therapist for 4 years. And you could tell that she just came out renewed and not necessarily back to seek vengeance, but just to have some fun. And the pressure wasn't on her shoulders, and she was really the lead of that team, and she just enjoyed every single minute, even when she wasn't on the apparatus, just standing on the sidelines and cheering on the rest of her team. That was great to see. And I love that the fact the Olympics always brings your attention to sports that you might not be so familiar about. So Todd, for example, you know, badminton being compared to curling.
Love badminton.
Judo, I've got to say, not a massive pet sport of mine, but Teddy Riner, French judoka, French judo legend. He was one of the guys who lit the flame, actually, at the very end of the opening ceremony. And I remember, as you both know, when you cover the Olympics, you don't have a lot of time to get out and about. But there was one night when we had time for dinner, and I was walking out trying to find somewhere to eat. And the streets were just absolutely empty. And I was like, what's going on? You know, was everyone told to evacuate the city and I wasn't aware, and it's going to be some 28 days later type zombie situation? But no, everyone was just crowding into any restaurant that they could find to watch Teddy Riner, who was fighting. And he really brought Paris to a standstill. And he is just a legend that I didn't realize until I got to Paris, and he won a couple more gold medals. But he just encapsulates, I think, for me, how much people get behind their own national heroes and how much a sports star who might not be on the same level as LeBron James or Simone Biles can just capture the public imagination.
But that's the same of Leon Marchand in the swimming pool as well for France. He was, I felt, one of the poster boys for the Olympics. I mean, he came into it as, a 22-year-old. He is coached by Michael Phelps's coach. So, he's obviously got the pedigree because they've seen something in him to work with him out in the United States. But still, he's coming in. Would he rise to the occasion or would he sink under that pressure? My goodness, did he rise to the occasion? What was it, 4 goals that he won? Yeah. Breaking Michael Phelps's records a couple of times in the pool. I think he also got a bronze as well in the relay, the 4x100 metre medley relay. There are sometimes days where you have incredible sporting prowess. And if you go back to London 2012, we had Super Saturday when Jessica Ennis-Hill, Greg Rutherford, Mo Farah won gold in the athletics track. That, to be able to kind of capture a spirit of the games, that was the spirit of the games for London 2012. But for me, Leon Marchand and what he achieved in the pool for France kind of made me think it kind of summed up that motto of fraternity that they have as part of the French motto, don't they? So I just kind of felt he was brilliant in what he was able to do. And I remember seeing a massive skyscraper with his face, the poster of him on this huge skyscraper in Paris. And I'm thinking, wow, you are putting a lot of pressure on this man. But boy, did he deliver, I thought.
You talk about filling a vacuum, and you think of who's going to replace Michael Phelps. I don't know if that's possible, but Marchand certainly lived up to the billing, as you said, Natalie. Once you put his face on that big of a skyscraper, the pressure is definitely on. And I thought he stepped up to the plate and smashed it. Ed, to your point, Simone Biles, she comes with so much. I mean, her husband plays professional football in the NFL. He left training camp with the Chicago Bears to come over and support his wife with the blessing of that team. And so that was kind of a big story. To athletics, always the showdown at the 100, the women's 200, and then the relays. There's always drama there. But for me, being an action sports person, I go back to skateboarding. Obviously, it's only been around for 2 iterations of the Summer Games. But it was a great story for an athlete named Yuto Horigome from Japan in the men's street competition. He was a defending gold medalist in that. And the Americans were coming on very strong with Jagger Eaton and Nyjah Huston, both world rock stars in skateboarding. Horigome had a slump mid-season, but he came back to defend that title in Paris to win the gold medal. Jagger Eaton finishing second with Nyjah Huston getting the bronze medal. But it's those smaller sports that don't get as much attention, but there's always some drama that plays out. And I thought that was just so incredible. And the backdrops you guys talked about, Place de la Concorde, Eiffel Tower, it was just amazing. I swear, every shot that seemed like they took, there was an Eiffel Tower. And I wondered, how many Eiffel Towers are there? Because it seems like they've always found a way to get the Eiffel Tower in one of the shots. But just the other day, I was at the USA Track and Field Awards, the Night of Legends, and it gave me the opportunity to chat with some of the Olympic stars there this year. And one person I was fortunate enough to bump into on the red carpet was Olympic gold medalist Gabby Thomas. And here's a little bit of our chat. Todd Harris here with This Sporting Planet, 3-time Olympic gold medalist Gabby Thomas. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any plans?
Well, I'm here celebrating with my USA Track and Field community.
Tell me about Paris, and especially the opening ceremony, going down that river with all those amazing athletes on Team USA.
Well, I actually sat that one out. I was very tunnel vision, hyper-focused on my competition. So I watched it on TV, and it looked incredible.
FOMO?
Not much, no. No, but they did an amazing job with that. I was really impressed. It was very unique to Paris, and it was a great way to kick off the Olympics.
And what was the experience like the whole time you were in Paris, the purple track, the whole vibe?
Everything was incredible. They did an amazing job hosting. The purple track was stunning. We were all so excited to run on it. And the turnover was incredible because I remember going to watch the rugby matches days before competing in that venue. So it was really cool.
Did you get a chance to see other venues? Anything else that you really wanted to see when you had down days?
Rugby was definitely number one on my list. Huge Ilona Maher fan, and I got to support those girls, and they came and supported us on the track as well, and it was really fun.
So after it's all over, you've got 3 gold medals in your pocket, you're leaving Paris. What's life like going back to normal?
It has not been normal yet. I don't know if there ever will be another normal, but it's been very busy, and I'm just really grateful for all the opportunities and people that I've gotten to meet.
Are you already hyper-focused on Los Angeles?
No. We actually have World Championships next summer, so I am very focused on that. And we started training 2 weeks ago.
And how many people ask you this last question? What does your future hold? What do you want to do?
I want some more Olympic medals. I'm looking ahead LA 2028, and then after that, we'll see where the world takes me. But I'm still very dedicated to healthcare, so hopefully working or running a nonprofit someday.
Any chance we can get you to run for president of the United States?
Probably not in this lifetime. But
Happy birthday.
thank you.
And guys, let me just say, she is that graceful, that much poise. She's such an impressive person. Obviously, you don't get into Harvard just by good looks, but Harvard graduate, University of Texas graduate school. I wasn't kidding in a sense. I would love to see her run for president of the United States. She is that impressive.
I do love the fact you asked her what's next. She could literally do anything in the world and still be fantastic at it.
She's so personable. That's how it comes across. And you get contrasting athletes, don't you? When you get, and I mentioned him in a previous podcast, Noah Lyles, who is all about the showmanship, the overconfidence that he has. I mean, he delivers on the track, of course, but he's so contrasting to Gabby Thomas, who no doubt has a ruthless nature, because you don't get to where you've got to as an athlete unless you have a bit of a ruthlessness behind you. But she just delivers it in a very, very different way. And even when she runs on the track, again, she is so graceful. I think she is just a fabulous athlete. And I love the fact you've told us she should run for president. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But that, of course, was well, she won a number of medals, didn't she? But
Three
40 gold medals. Yeah, we talked about the 40 gold medals for the USA. Tell us, Todd, how do they rank the table in the US? Because I think it's a little bit different to how everyone else does it.
Yeah, I think on the whole, most of the world likes to say gold first, then total. And I think for the U.S. team, and this is just my take, is I think they just like to see the total number of medals first of all. Obviously, if you get a gold, silver, or a bronze, you're one of the three best in the world. And I think one of the things that's interesting as a journalist, they always like to say, never refer to someone as a former Olympian. Once an Olympian, always an Olympian. So I think the cachet that goes along with not only being on Team USA, but possibly taking a medal of any color is massive. And so I think that's why the Americans usually focus on total numbers of medal won, because they can take that back to sponsors and say, listen, we're going to bring home a medal. It might not be a gold. It's going to be a silver. It's going to be a bronze. It's still going to be a colored medal, and you'll be excited for them. But I don't know. I just think there's a different take as far as medals go. Gold is nice. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal, but winning a medal is such a massive achievement.
Yeah, I should say elsewhere, golds often are the preference, aren't they, Ed?
Yeah, well, of course, in this part of the world, lots to celebrate, Natalie. 3 of the top 4 nations on the medal tally coming from Asia Pacific, China in second, Japan in third, and Australia in fourth. But I do have to reserve a special mention for Southeast Asia, who equaled their best medal haul at a single Olympics with 5 golds, 3 silvers, and 8 bronzes, as the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore made the podium with a few standout performances. The Philippines' best Olympic outing was fueled by a couple of pocket dynamos below 1.6 meters. Of course, the 1.5 meter gymnast Carlos Yulo creating history with his double triumph in the men's vault and floor exercise. I was very lucky to be in the venue for that. And he had so many fans cheering him on. Not just Philippines fans, but French fans as well, who really got behind him. The 1.58 meter boxers, Ira Villegas and Nesty Petesio, claimed bronze as well. The 2 boxers there. Moving on to Indonesia, they clinched Olympic gold for the first time outside of badminton. That's normally the sport that they do very well in at the Olympics. Jonathan Christie and Anthony Ginting surprisingly eliminated from badminton in the group stage. So it was down to sport climber Vedrick Leonardo. What a fantastic sport that was, by the way, sport climbing. He won the men's speed gold in 4.75 seconds. That is seriously speedy. For Thailand, Panapak Wongpatanakhit retained her Taekwondo 49 kilos gold, but there was also significant attention on the Thai weightlifters, who proved their pedigree with 2 silvers and 1 bronze. Badminton continued to bring in the medals for Malaysia with another 2 bronzes in the men's singles and men's doubles. And for Singapore, Max Mader, the 17-year-old kite foiling world champion, won his country its first Olympic medal in 8 years on the same day that it celebrated its 59th birthday, National Day, which is kind of like Independence Day, I guess, in other countries around the world. It's the day where the country celebrates its birthday. And as luck would have it, the final was actually supposed to take place the day before, but there was not enough wind in Marseille in order to run the race. There was a lot of sun because I was standing on the beaches of Marseille waiting for Max to come home. He went out that day before and then came back within 5 minutes because his kite was just not inflating enough to get him anywhere. So it was moved a day further back. And of course, it gave Singapore two things to celebrate, not just their birthday, but a first Olympic medal in 8 years as well.
I wanted to also quickly mention someone that won a silver medal that we haven't mentioned, the Turkish shooter, Yusuf Dikec. I mean, what a man. How can you nonchalantly stand there when he, alongside he's playing in the mixed team event, wasn't he? I think it was the 10-meter pistol event. He's got his hand in his pocket. I mean, how could you see someone more relaxed than him? I think it was just, again, one of these standout moments from the Paris Games. I just felt like he deserved a mention.